Well, good afternoon. This is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred. Really glad you could join me today out here in the vegetable garden. You know, it's a beautiful day here in Pennsylvania, Zone 6. It's a nice overcast day. Well, you know, the weather's warming up here in Pennsylvania. Next week is our last frost date, which is May 15th. And so the soil's been warming up. And so I've been doing a lot of direct sowing of different seeds out in the garden. And so today I wanted to share or sow with you about, it's called Calabaza or Cocozella squash. Cocozelle. It's an interesting type of squash. I've been experimenting with different types of vegetables out in the garden. I always enjoy experimenting with different types. And this is a 50 days to harvest. And so this is what it looks like here. So thanks for joining me today out here in the vegetable garden. You know, looking at this seed packet, looks similar to other zucchini variety that I've grown. It just has some stripes on it. But you know, behind every pack, they do give you some helpful information here. Let's take a minute and read this. It says, used for slicing and frying, tasty when steamed or simmered. Fruits mature to 18 to 24 inches long, but are most tender when 8 inches long. And care and maintenance is, it's 7 to 10 days to germination. And you want to sow them about 1 inch deep. Spacing is 3 to 4 feet apart, and days to harvest is 50 days. So in full sun, sow 4 to 5 seeds over a 12-inch tall and 2 feet across hill. And so it's always good to plant your melons and squash in hills, but I'll be doing these in my raised beds, which are basically like raised mounds. And also be planting these in my composted leaf mulch that's amended with topsoil that I get locally from Barnside Farms for about $30 a yard. So anyhow, right behind me over there on that side is where I'm going to be direct sowing these. So let's get started. So I'm going to come back about 16 inches here and maybe 2 feet over. I have 4 other plants that I'm going to be growing in this same bed here. And I'm just going to take my hand simply and make a furrow about 1.5 inches deep. And then plant about 8 seeds in there. Hopefully at least get 2 good plants. I may take some of the other plants that come up and transplant them somewhere else in the garden. And you also want to make sure your soil is nice and loose. It's nice and rich soil, a nice fine soil when you plant your seeds in your seed bed. And you also you want to make sure you can mark the ends of your rows, which is always handy. And I take a little rock and just mark each end, and then just backfill your soil here. I also amended my topsoil here with some of my alfalfa meal. Yeah, alfalfa meal is a nice slow release fertilizer that'll feed these plants during the whole garden season. And so you want to make sure you water in your seeds and keep them moist during the germination period. That's something that's very, very important. So you want to keep an eye on that, especially on sunny days. Make sure they receive enough water. And then you can also mark your what you plant there in the garden. I'm using, this is like a plastic fork, you know, and use a Sharpie. So that's a nice way to make some labels. You could use the handle, even the handle to write on. But this way you can write the date and what you planted here in these spots. And then just stick it in the soil. And then I have my spun bonded polyester that I'm going to cover my seeds up with. And this will keep the birds off the soil, out of the soil. It'll help hold in some soil moisture, you know, which is really important during your germination period. And you want to make sure you weigh them down really good so the winds don't take these away. So anyhow, that's about as easy as it gets to sow these seeds. It's something really easy to do. And let me encourage you to think about direct sowing some of your vegetables out in the garden. And you can also buy seedlings or transplants. You know, sometimes they give you a good jump on the season. I certainly buy seedlings and transplants from a local nursery called Ray's. And I get them very affordable, but I've been doing a lot of experimenting with different type of vegetables this year. And so I can't always get what I'm planting at local nurseries, so you can order some seeds online or get them locally and then experiment with growing different vegetables in your garden. It's always something fun and challenging and enjoyable to do, you know, because gardening is certainly one big learning curve, as I've always said. Well, anyhow, I hope this video has been helpful for you. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the section below. And you can also visit us at plantsmartliving.com. And there you can learn more about gardening and also how you can reclaim your health by adopting a whole food, plant-based diet. Well, anyhow, I hope you have a wonderful day today. So until next time, this is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred.